My guest today is Chris Harper, who started his entrepreneurial life at the age of 17. He eventually started ZippedScript, which is revolutionizing the background check industry. His company helps give an edge to those who don't lie about their education on their resumes. Welcome to LIFEOLOgy.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I am looking forward to this. I was reading all the different information that you've done. So at 17, you started the entrepreneurial world and you did so many different companies. What was your favorite company that you started?
Actually, currently, the favorite company I have is the one I'm doing, ZippedScript. But I would say probably one of the funniest ones was the one I started at 17, which was a light switch cover business. I started while I was in college and university. So it was custom light switch covers. And I'd go around peddling those at school to people to put in their houses, in their dorms, you know, with your favorite TV show, your favorite character. So, yeah.
That's interesting. Did you make money off it? I mean, obviously you did, but
yeah, I made lunch money, let's call it. Nothing serious, right? It was, but it got me started. And one thing was for certain, I knew how to sell. I could sell these things that were otherwise look like a small child made them.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's fair. I mean, that's good. But I think when most people start their first business, they realize that maybe they're not necessarily cut out for the quote corporate world, which there's nothing wrong with that. But realize that, yeah, I can make money on my own. I can set my schedule. I can have all the things that I want based on my quality of life. I think that really starts to have most people want to do more of it.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I had a small stint. Sorry, James, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I had a small stint in the corporate world, but maybe we'll get into that after.
Yeah, well, I was curious about that. So, because I know, like I said, a lot of my listeners right now who are entrepreneurs, who want to become entrepreneurs, it's kind of hard to sometimes make that jump. So you have the juxtaposition between an entrepreneur and working in the corporate world. What resonated for you to realize this may not be for me?
Yeah, great question, James. I got kicked out of college in my early 20s and then got a corporate job, and I was blessed to get it right out the gate, actually, and it was in sales, and I excelled at it, did really well, was making just under $100,000 a year at 22 years old. And that's when I realized that this wasn't for me. Actually, for the first time in my life, I kind of felt depressed, and I was never depressed. It was monotonous. I thought, is this it? What am I going to do? Climb the corporate ladder, make 400 grand a year, spend 20 years at this company? I knew there had to be something more. And I always kind of had this desire to start a company. And for me, James, it was always inside of me. And then I just decided it was it. I'm going to take the leap. And I took the leap.
Wow. And you met, I believe your business partner is Andrew. Is that right? Andrew?
It's David on the current business. David Alexander, correct.
David, okay. David Alexander, yes. I'm not sure. I apologize for that. Sorry, David. I don't know where I got this. But I was reading about it. So you met him and all of a sudden you thought, oh gosh, we want to do something. So how did ZippedScript even come about?
Yeah, great question. Actually, I met David, my co-founder of the current business I have, in the gym working out. And cool. We met over an argument about Bitcoin at the time. And he had a compelling argument for the anti-side of Bitcoin, and I was pro-Bitcoin. And this was early 2017. And I knew he was an incredibly smart human being, and he really is. And I always had ideas, and then one thing led to another, and pitched him the idea for a better education verification tool for the background check industry. And kind of that was it. We were off to the races, James. Wow.
It's funny when you first started talking, I was like, wait a minute. So you guys were talking about Bitcoin. You're not working out. You're not focused on your workout. Just kidding.
Exactly. You know the deal. You get in the gym, you're in there for 2 hours if you're a meathead. And next thing you know, you're talking to all the regulars.
Yes, that's very true. I've fallen into that many times. That's why I always usually have my headset on. So I'm there in and out. I have so much to do. And so most people, when they get to know me, like, oh, I thought you were kind of a jerk. I'm like, no, I just don't really talk in the gym because I will be like you talking all day and I just don't have time for that.
Oh, 100%. And James, now, just for context, I actually, in my office here, I have a gym. I've got a bench press, a squat rack. So now I avoid that and I work out at my house. Yeah.
That is hysterical. How did you realize, or how did even the concept of ZippedScript come up for you?
Yeah, great question. So I was actually helping someone set up a LinkedIn profile at the time, and I realized that, hey, you can lie about everything on your LinkedIn profile, from your employment history to your education, and it looks so official. It's so easy to lie. And I thought there's got to be a way to verify this. And this actually has come up in the media a lot recently, with the founder of Binance making headlines recently talking about there's over 5,000 people that claim to work at Binance on LinkedIn, James, and there's only about, I think he said, 40-ish people that have LinkedIn that worked at Binance.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
That
that's
it's funny. When I was reading about it, when your publicist John sent me the information, I I was like, wait, I didn't even think of lying on my resume. I mean, well, because I had the education, so. But it is just interesting. I guess I know many people do it, and there's no judgment whatsoever. But there is a reason for that. But it was so far beyond, I guess, what I thought. I was like, oh, why
yeah.
would people lie? But you're right. I mean, obviously, these are great examples of how many people do, I guess, lie in their LinkedIn profiles.
Yeah, and it's prevalent, and it's a lot more prevalent than people think. And in that Binance example, which is very recent, that's a serious issue because somebody can claim to work at Binance, want to list your cryptocurrency on the exchange, say, "Hey, I'm the guy that heads up, listing cryptocurrencies on Binance. We're going to go through this 10-step process, and at the end of it, if you give us $150,000, we'll list your token."
Yeah.
And you can obviously imagine that's a scam, and there's lots of people doing that. That's a bad look for the company. It's a bad look for everyone. So yeah, we believe we can solve it, and we are solving it.
That's brilliant. It's I've read so many different things about entrepreneurs. When you can find a need and you fill it, I mean, that's how people become successful. Like it's always fun for me. I like to look around my place or just when I'm walking around and say, wow, someone came up with that idea or someone came up with that idea. And it's really interesting because there's a need for something. The other day, or actually just yesterday, I was driving and this company went by and they said, we clean garbage bins. And I was like, that is so random, but that's brilliant. And then I started thinking about the process of that, how they would do that, how would they get their clients. And it was just really cool because, once again, just the randomness of things, but everybody needs something. So obviously individuals like this, like, your company, you found that need and you filled it. Did you experience that as well, where you applied for jobs with your education? I mean, I know that you said you dropped out, but other things, and that you didn't lie, but other people got the job because of you, instead of you?
No, not in there are no particular instances in which that happened to me. But it's happening a lot. A lot of the time it's not talked about.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of high
Yeah.
profile cases of people lying about their education. One example that comes to mind is the head of admissions at MIT. She was the person letting you into college at MIT, a prestigious university in the United
Mm-hmm.
States. And she was there for 10 years, and it turns out she didn't have a single degree. She claimed to have 3 degrees. The irony of that one is quite hilarious. And then they have famous examples,
Yes.
James, too. Scott Thompson, the CEO of Yahoo,
Mm-hmm.
he was ousted of not having a degree, and that mutilated their stock price when that came out as well. But those are a couple high-profile cases.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. I mean, I've heard of some of those, but that is interesting. I mean, to have that, I guess, just from a psychological standpoint, to have that guilt or that fear, oh my God, if they find out for the tenure of my employment, that would, yeah, like I said, no judgment, but I can't imagine having.
Well, James, my whole thought process on it is you don't need to lie. If you don't have education, that's okay.
Yeah.
If the job says it's required and you still believe you have the skill set to do that job, put it on your cover letter.
Mm-hmm.
Let the
Agreed.
elephant, talk about it right away. Just say, hey, I don't have the education required, but I believe I'm a good fit for X, Y, Z reason. Don't lie. And our job, my business, ZippedScript, we verify higher education claims globally and instantly, James. We work with large enterprise background check companies, but we also verify education claims on LinkedIn for free. And you can put a nice verified blue check mark on your LinkedIn profile.
Perfect.
But, you don't need to lie. It's okay. Be who you are. And our job is to get rid of those people that lie.
Yeah, and a lot of times people think that education means intelligence. It just doesn't. It just simply means education. They went to school and you didn't. It doesn't mean you're not qualified for it. So I like your reframe. Yeah, just simply tell that as well. When it comes to ZippedScript, what's the process? So let's say I, in my business here, I'm hiring people. What's the process for a business owner to use your company ZippedScript?
Yeah, great question, James. So our company is largely, like I said, focused on enterprise, and we have a channel partnership model right now. So we sell an API, and currently, James, a background check is multifaceted. So it's a criminal record search, it's a driving record search, it's a education verification, and it's a past employer verification. Typically, that's everything in a background check. Each individual aspect of a background check presents its own challenges. Most of them are manual and are not automated. And what we do is sell our education verification tool to enterprise background check companies who sell companies like yours in this example, James, a background check, and you wouldn't even know, James, that you are using ZippedScript's API to verify that candidate's education verification. Correct. Yes.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, I knew the different facets or factors when it comes to background check, but yeah, that makes sense that you would have you would white glove it. So people who don't know what white gloving is, it's a company takes and says, this is our products, but they outsource it to someone else, but they put their label on it. So that's really great that behind the scenes, you guys, ZippedScript is able to do that. Now, as a person who wants to make sure that my qualifications are being validated, as the consumer, or rather the front facing, the applicant, are they able to put their information in there as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually offer a service now to the average human being who has graduated college or university anywhere
Hmm,
on planet Earth to verify their education for free on our website, zippscript.com. And they can put a
nice.
badge on their LinkedIn profile that shows that they have done it, and it shows the rest of the world that it is legit. And this is really taking off, James. And one of the things it does is it just builds a foundation of trust. And we believe, and what I say, James, is it only takes 30 seconds to verify your degree at zippscript.com. So if you don't have it, you should assume they're lying. If it's not on a LinkedIn
That's
profile,
fair.
assume any education claim that they do have is not accurate. And our job is to make the blue check mark for education verification on LinkedIn so prevalent that that's how people think.
Wow, I love that. Now, I always like the nuts and bolts of things. How does that work though? So you actually contact the registrar of the industry?
Great question. So the way, and a little backstory here, I think is necessary. So the way education verifications have been done up until our company existed was manually. In the United States, offers a solution, a company called the NSC that's been around for some time now. But outside of the United States, there is no digital solution. Everything is manual. You have to call the registrar office. Imagine you want to hire
Mm-hmm.
somebody in India, Malaysia, Hong Kong,
Mm-hmm.
Australia, Europe. You've got to call different time zones. You got to make sure you get them on the phone. You're leaving messages. These things are
Sure.
costly, and they take a lot of time. Nobody's trying to wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get a background check on someone. They want it done instantly. So what we did was built out technology, James, that connects directly to institutions' databases. And we've done this for over 6,000 institutions across the world. So it was a lot of engineering work to get this done. But we
Mm-hmm.
believe in a different future, James. The traditional background check is institution permission. We're user permission. We believe that the
I see.
user should give you
Interesting.
permission to access the data, not a
Mm-hmm.
third party institution. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really what makes us different.
Wow, that's really cool. I mean, that's a really good point, especially if you have a more international company. That is a lot of legwork to do that. So why not use ZippedScript to be able to do all that for you as well? I read a Forbes article, and congratulations being in Forbes, who's really highlighting the different aspects for the employment verification. What are some of the reviews, and what are some of the ways in which companies have been really grateful for your technology?
Yeah, great question. So, like I mentioned earlier on the show, James, we work with enterprise background check companies, so large
Mhm.
publicly traded background check companies. And one of the things that's really important for them is turnaround time. Turnaround time being how long does it take to actually get the background check done? And our
Mhm.
solution is effectively instant. It takes under a minute to verify somebody's
Wow,
education claims, which that's insane. From 3 weeks to a minute, they're ecstatic because that means they can get somebody into a
that's great.
position at work a lot faster. And then beyond that, James, too, people are really satisfied with our pricing. It's incredibly affordable. Turnaround times there, and the innovation. The space has really been lacking innovation. The background check industry is an antiquated industry. A lot of the
Mhm.
processes are still old, and it was time for a change. And that's actually what's exciting about our business, James. And I think for any entrepreneur listening, it's look for unsexy verticals, look for
Mhm.
unsexy niches. A
Mhm.
lot of the time, those business areas are forgotten, and
Yes.
innovation can be applied, and you can solve problems for people that'll be very happy about it, and you'll be rewarded as an entrepreneur.
I like that. As you were thinking, I was thinking of this as well. So I remember because I went to different universities, graduate universities for my doctorate program, and so I'm wondering, like, if I were to put one in, and since I transitioned and I didn't fully graduate from that, would it show that I was at least a student there?
Yes, correct. So great question, James. Actually, that's what we call in the industry enrollment verification. So at some point in
Okay.
time, you were enrolled at the institution, right? But you did not graduate. Yeah, our system would pull that information and make the world aware that you did not
Yeah.
graduate, but you
Yeah.
did indeed attend. And
Yeah. And
actually,
that would.
James, that's common. We see that a
Yeah. I
lot
was
with
just there.
people
Yeah.
lying about that, though. They're like, hey, they were at the school for 2 years, but then they claim to have graduated. It's just not the case.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say I could see that would be the loophole where people are like, yeah, well, I went there, and then like, oh yeah, it's we'll just say I graduated, so it is good to see that you can catch that because that's lying. So I'm glad to hear. Of course, I knew you guys would catch it, but I was curious how you guys did it because that is a sure loophole for many people as well. With ZippedScript, do you think that you'll broaden that? So not only employment verification, but do you think you'll do other verifications as well?
Yeah.
Education verification?
Correct. So we just do education today. And when I say just do, I mean, there's a lot of work to do just on that specific piece. And one of the things I do as an entrepreneur, James, is I really like to focus and be the expert on one thing. And that's what our job is now. But once we've reached saturation that we believe is saturation, we will expand. And James, we're actually launching something that's super exciting, that's really, really game changing. We're launching a marketplace for verifications in the background check industry. So that's going to be really exciting. So basically, if you've already done it, if we do a verification on you, James Miller, we're going to store that data in a marketplace, make it available to other background check companies so they can instantly access it. And then we're going to put other things on there, employment verification, red seal, so like your CFA, CPA, stuff like that. I know you're a doctor.
My licensor,
a licensor, yeah. So that stuff would be on there. So that's really exciting because that'll make background checks super easy going forward in the future.
I really like that because I know I have many different state licensure boards that I'm connected to, but there's this one company I have to use all the time, and we have to make sure we have all that database information in there. So every state has their own sovereign board, and so to have one-stop shop, to have all my licenses in there, all my everything in there, it's great. So it's great that you guys are going to be doing that as well, because it's for someone who has lots of things, which we all have lots of things, but for me, it's good to have all that consolidated. So it's neat that you have a company that does 100%,
that as well. James. Yeah. And for you, you're a perfect example of it. And we want to put everything in one place, not have it segregated, make it easy to access, right? So if you are legitimate, it's easy for people to know you're legitimate.
When did you actually start ZippedScript?
Yeah, great question. We're actually a new company. The business was officially formed in Canada last year in July or June or July. I forget. Yeah.
Yes,
So
wonderful.
Exciting times.
And the reason why I asked that because I would see we're seeing started uptick on LinkedIn, et cetera, with that badge, which is amazing. Are you working with? I don't know if you can talk about this or not, but are you working with LinkedIn or other types of maybe ZipRecruiter, other places as well, where you're saying this is something that needs to happen, so therefore use our services so people can start to verify it to get that check on their actual profiles?
Great question. Conversations are being had with the enterprises mentioned. Formalities are not in place. So more or less said, that's all I can really say.
Of course. It's okay. Well, the great thing is if you only done it for, so at the time of this interview, it is November 3rd, 2022. So if it's been in for over a year, and you guys have done so much. So I can't wait to see what happens in the next few years, how you guys blow up and, expand and do other things as well. With ZippedScript, what are some things that, we were talking about just the evolution of that. What are some additional things that, someone like myself who has to compete with people who lie, what are additional benefits for me to use ZippedScript?
Yeah, you as an end user, as a human being, as a graduate, it's a foundation. It builds trust with your community. If it's on LinkedIn or otherwise, it shows initiative. It shows, hey, look, I've already done something that you're going to have to do on me if I'm going to work for you or work with you on any level, which is a background check. And I've already done one of the most important aspects of it. I verified my education claims. So right away, you're building trust. And building trust is so important in this life, in business, outside of business, but specifically in business. So I really recommend people do it. Like I said, it's 30 seconds and it's popping up on profiles everywhere. We're over 6,000 today. It's going to be a lot more in a couple months. And then, like I said, if you don't have that blue check mark, but you claim to have education, soon the world's going to assume you're lying. So it takes 30 seconds to verify it, do it, build trust, and start relationships off on the right foot.
I think that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being a fantastic guest on my show today, Chris Harper. If my viewers and listeners want to find out more information about you and to get all this information from ZippedScript, either as an enterprise or as a front-end user, where do they find all this information online?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to verify your own degree or just go check out the company, you can head to ZippedScript.com. Super simple, and take a look around, verify your degree, put the badge on LinkedIn, join the many thousands of people who've already done it. And if you want to reach out to me, the best place to do that is on LinkedIn. And my name is Chris Harper, and you'll find me on LinkedIn there.
As well as the badge that you have as well.
Actually, no. See, I don't have
Oh,
an
that's right.
education.
Yeah, that's right. Because you did. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. See?
The irony.
Perfect. Well done. I know, right? And that's the great thing about entrepreneurs is we always find a need and we fill it. My viewers and listeners also know that if they can't find this information any other place, simply go to the show notes at jamesmiller.lifeology.com, and I'll link you with Chris Harper and ZippedScript. Thanks, Chris. Thank you so much for being fantastic guest on my show today.
Thank you, James. Thanks for having me. It was a great time.